Tucson police and DEA agents were conducting a routine contraband check on the train, and officers say when they went to arrest a passenger on board, another passenger opened fire and killed the DEA agent and wounded another. That shooter was later found dead in the train's bathroom. No injuries were reported among the 11 crew members and 137 passengers on board. A scary sight in Coweta County.
The hope of sunshine. I'll tell you what, that can change anytime. Got caught in that stuff twice yesterday. Who used one of these? You know what it is? Huh? You know what that is? Green power.
Profits pushing for the plates, which will cost $80 in their first year. It's also a passion project of State Representative Eric Allen of Smyrna.
More potential home buyers are having trouble affording mortgage payments. Historically low interest rates have driven a home buying surge during the pandemic, but now any potential cost savings are being canceled out by the still rising home prices. The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta says the median American household would need to spend more than 32% of its typical income on a home, and that is the most since November of 2008.
Still ahead after months of the
to take on undocumented immigration. Cobb County's Republican committee voted to censure Kemp for failing to keep his promise. Debbie Dooley says she helped write it.
These resolutions are just a way of communicating to elected officials how grassroots Republicans feel. That's all they are.
Dooley says county Republican organizations across Georgia have passed resolutions censuring Kemp. Kemp supporter Jason Shepard resigned from Cobb's Republican committee after its vote.
It's just the fundamental unfairness of this resolution. I think what happened is people who are still mad at Governor Kemp wanted their pound of flesh, and this was the vehicle they used it.
A faction of the Republican Party continues to baselessly challenge the results of the 2020 election, which flipped Georgia out of former President Trump's column. Shepard says that faction was behind the attack on Kemp,
who's been a complete disaster on election integrity.
Trump himself fueled it during a rally in Perry 2 weeks ago when he made a not entirely serious endorsement of Democrat Stacey Abrams.
Stacey, would you like to take his place? It's okay with me.
I think there's too many Republicans.
DEA agents have dubbed Atlanta Command Central for drug cartels peddling fentanyl, and now they're ramping up efforts to get the lethal drug off the streets. Find out how that is happening on News Edge at 11.
In a single day.
Murphy says the cartels press the fentanyl into pill form to look identical to prescription painkillers people use to get high, using industrial pill presses like this one.
What is this? So this is a classic example of why these counterfeit pills are so hard to distinguish between real and not.
He says sometimes even his agents aren't able to tell them apart. To everyone on the supply chain, the money is the motive.
They're shipping it across our border. They know that it's made from fentanyl, but the profit potential is so high for them, the cost is so low.
Murphy said federal agents and cops can only do so much. That's why Deanne wants her brother Gerald's legacy to live on.
If his story saves one life, it's worth it. Friday is his birthday. He would be 29 years old.
In Atlanta, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
Peer reports on the scary and strange series of events.
That's a very scary situation. That's any parent's worst nightmare and any young lady's worst nightmare as well.
Sergeant Salvador Ortega with the Sandy Springs Police says they got the call around 10:30 Friday night about a home invasion on Northside Drive.
They had a gate, they had security cameras, but for some reason these perpetrators were not discouraged.
There were even dogs in the house, but police say 5 armed men still got in, held the victims at gunpoint, and then went room by room looking for valuables. They also took their cell phones and 2 cars.
Thanks to the assistance of another daughter, we were able to track one of the vehicles to a location in Stone Mountain, and the other car was also found somewhere within the city of Atlanta.
That car was found on Peachtree Battle. Thankfully, neither victim on Northside was physically hurt. Ortega says the very next night, they got another call that 5 armed men had broken into another house a few miles away on Aberdeen Drive.
They broke in, they realized that the homeowners were home. In this particular case, they didn't held them at gunpoint. As soon as they realized somebody was home, they took off.
Ortega says they put out a bolo on that car. He says the suspects made it all the way to Dooley County before they were captured after a chase and a crash.
But luckily, we have 5 in custody, and we have their phones. We have evidence that we will work through and hopefully make a connection.
Atlanta's essential workers now are getting a boost in pay. The city council
About the elaborate scheme.
Roswell police say the suspect dipped pieces of paper in drugs, disguising them as legitimate correspondence to send to inmates. This small hotel on Market Boulevard in Roswell housed a drug operation that sounds like something straight out of the movies.
This individual had been purchasing synthetic cannabinoids in a powdered form. He was then converting that powder into a liquid substance that was being soaked into paper. That paper was then being turned into basically disguised formal correspondence that was being mailed into the Georgia prison system for consumption.
It all started July 11th as Roswell police patrolled the area. Investigators say a car in the hotel parking lot was registered to Stephen Mott. He was wanted out of Cobb County for felony drug charges, and police say he's a known gang member. When Mott got in his car, police stopped him, and they say they found several drug-related tools. According to police, they received a search warrant and within hours found 8 pounds of a cannabis-like substance, methamphetamines, and heroin all in that hotel room.
It could happen anywhere. You know, it doesn't really matter where you are. I mean, anywhere you live, I mean, there's going to be drugs and all that kind of stuff that most communities don't want to have around. But I'm surprised, and I hope that's all it is, and it's all over.
Things were over for Mott that night. He was arrested and has been in custody at the Fulton County Jail since July. Since then, there's been a lengthy investigation with the GBI that just ended Friday.
This mostly seems to be an investigation and operation that was targeting funneling those substances into the prison system. There does not appear to be a specific threat to the public in regards to that investigation.
According to the police report, Mott sent the drugs to at least 8 different Georgia prisons, including Calhoun and Valdosta state prisons and Wheeler Correctional Facility.
An excellent demonstration of the results of just kind of good old-fashioned police work, you know, kind of boots on the ground, looking for violations that led us all the way into dismantling what was a significant operation.
Mott faces nearly a dozen charges, including possession of drugs with the intent to distribute and participating in gang activity. Reporting in Roswell, Alex Whitler, Fox 5 News.
That's what activities were canceled. We don't know any more information about this double shooting that has left 1 dead in the Old Fourth Ward.
60,000
Prostitution, too.
We have new street lights, and this is an added addition to make sure that when you get off of 285 and when you travel up and down Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, this blight will no longer be here.
There has not been an announcement of what will go in the gas station's place. Boone says they hope for something that contributes to the surrounding community and adds to a better business district along the MLK corridor.
The Supreme Court begins.
A daycare worker is now facing charges after accusations of abuse at a daycare center in South Fulton. The family tells us she pulled their little boy's ear, pushed his head, hit him on the arm. And we told you about this incident at Angel's Touch Learning Center back in August. An ironic name. Before going to police, the family reported the incident to the center's owner, but no action was taken, so they reported it to the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning. An investigation was launched and completed about 2 weeks later. Right now, 5 suspects are in custody.
Forward in the 60 Minutes interview Sunday as the woman who anonymously filed complaints with federal law enforcement that the company's own research shows how it magnifies hate and misinformation. She said Facebook prematurely turned off safeguards designed to thwart misinformation after Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump last year, alleging that contributed to the deadly January 6th invasion of the U.S. Capitol. Post-election, the company dissolved the unit on civic integrity where she had been working, which Huggins said was the moment she began to believe Facebook would not invest in keeping their platform from being dangerous. At issue, she says, are algorithms that govern what shows up on users' news feeds. Huggins said a 2018 change to the content flow contributed to more divisiveness and ill will. Facebook, for its part, derided the allegations as misleading, saying there is not evidence that it is the primary cause for polarization.
And is trying to hide it.
The version of Facebook that exists today is tearing our societies apart.
Haugen points the finger at the company's algorithm.
Facebook has realized that if they change the algorithm to be safer, people will spend less time on the site, they'll click on less ads, they'll make less money.
After Facebook dissolved her department's civic integrity and turned off misinformation prevention tools post-election, she says she had enough.
They basically said, oh, good, we made it through the election. There wasn't riots. We can get rid of civic integrity now. Fast forward a couple of months, we got the insurrection.
Facebook is aggressively pushing back.
Well, I think if the assertion is that January the 6th can be explained because of social media, I just think that's ludicrous.
Denying many of Haugen's claims in a statement, saying in part, we continue to make significant improvements to tackle the spread of misinformation and harmful content. To suggest we encourage bad content and do nothing is just not true.
Haugen filed at least 8 complaints with the Securities and Exchange Commission alleging that Facebook is hiding research about its problems from investors and the public. Tomorrow, she will testify in front of a Senate subcommittee hearing, and we will bring you the latest information on that as we get it. We'll be right back.
Oh, not Bart, my little angel.
He was arrested for vandalism and shoplifting, sir.
Yeah, that sounds like Bart, that little devil.
If you don't send his bail money in the next 90 minutes, he's going straight to the downtown juvenile detention center.
Grandfather, help me, please.
Don't worry, Bart. Just tell me what you need and I'll do it. Your grandpa loves you.